Hello and welcome to Let's Talk Sports. I am Ralph LaBella.
And I'm Ron Sen, and a lot to talk about with the Bruins in the Stanley Cup. Could be the first major sports city to have 3 championships in the same season since Detroit in 1935. And certainly that would be something. A lot of discussion. The NFL is 365, 24/7. Roger Goodell says there's no reason to play 4 exhibition games. So you know what that means is that the collective bargaining agreement, NFL wants 17 regular season games and only 3 postseason games. Or maybe they're even looking for 2 and 18.
Well, it was 2 and 18 a couple of years ago, but now they want 3 and 17.
Well, they're going to try to get what they can get.
I think it's just stay the way it is. There used to be 6 and 14.
Well, greed knows no bounds, and the NFL's certainly proven that. Now, there's a lot of discussion about the new challenging of pass interference. How are they going to deal with Hail Mary plays, where anybody who's seen Hail Mary plays or Hail Mary-like plays, it's like a free-for-all, where pass interference is, I don't ever remember seeing it called a Hail Mary. They let you do whatever. Remember in Carolina a few years back, Gronk got tackled in the end zone before the ball even got there.
Or the game against the Giants when he had that bad ankle, and he couldn't even get down there for the long pass that time.
So, we'll see how that goes. One of the more interesting stories is in international track and field, Caster Semenya, who's an 800-meter runner in women, a champion, who was disqualified because she has naturally high testosterone levels. There's been no question that she's been cheating. Nobody's accusing her of cheating. They're just saying she shouldn't be able to compete because her testosterone levels are high. To me, that's like saying somebody's taller or has some other, it's like saying like Secretariat shouldn't be able to run because his heart was bigger than the other horses.
Yeah.
I mean if she didn't do anything to cheat, that's just the breaks.
Look at the great athletes, especially in basketball, when their heart rate is like 40. Do they get disqualified?
Well, it just seems to me that if you haven't done anything to cheat and you don't have some genetic chimerism where you're really a half of a guy, then I don't understand why you should be disqualified. Now, we have to wonder whether this is the end for Dustin Pedroia.
You said it was before the season started. You were talking about his knee injury. I thought that, nowadays, he's been out for almost 2 years now. I thought he'd be all right, but doesn't look good.
I mean, I think
he signed a good contract, though.
Right. I mean, I think that, like most things, when people are better, you can just say they look like the same guy. They're not having a lot of pain. He couldn't play back-to-back, and it's not on him. He's done everything possible and more to try to get back on the field. Sometimes your body just won't let you.
I mean, how can you feel bad for him? He's had great seasons with the Red Sox. He's making $14 million for the next 3 years, I believe. Mm-hmm. He's 35. I mean, it's too bad, but look at Bobby Orr. What happened to him?
Or Sandy Koufax.
Yeah.
Done at 30. So Pedroia had a wonderful career. He had an MVP season, 4 All-Star berths. I think he won 4 Gold Gloves. He's been a team leader, and like you said, he got paid.
And he was one of my favorite players. Even though I can't stand the Red Sox, he was one of my favorite players.
Well, we'll get to the Red Sox later. Now, with the Major League Baseball draft upcoming, 2 players who've been great successes in the past, Dallas Keuchel and Craig Kimbrell, are going to be free to sign without draft pick compensation. Now,
is it tonight after midnight, or was it last?
I think it's tonight.
Tonight, and they can sign him without giving up a draft pick. Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, Kimbrell was pretty shaky last year, even though the Red Sox happened to win. And I don't think it's an accident that Cora was using the starters in the bullpen because of Kimbrell's inconsistency. And sometimes the timing is wrong. So guys on the wrong side of 30.
42 saves, though. I thought he was real. At the end, he lost it. But most of the season, he was really good.
Right, and if you sign the guy now, probably going to be 3 weeks at least before he can pitch. So you're talking about really half a season that you're getting him for. So if they're signing for $10 million for a year, they're not getting 10. They're probably not getting $10 million.
Right.
They're going to get 5.
Rumors are the Yankees are going after Keuchel.
Well, Keuchel's not relying on velocity, so
No.
and the Yankees have been devastated by injuries, but they've had so many young players come up and play well. So I mean, great credit to the Yankee organization for having depth.
Yeah, they picked up some good players, and plus, when you're leading in the game, you get into the 6th inning, forget about it.
Yeah, no, they're
the
bullpen.
5th or 6th inning. Like last night against the Red Sox, I didn't get upset at Boone, right? He didn't go for the win, because when they were down 3-2, he brought in Sessa. Sessa's not one of his top. There's 5 relief pitchers much better than Sessa. And he used in the 2 prior games.
Yeah, you're playing for the long haul.
Yeah.
So, and Betances is still out, right?
He's still out. And Severino's out, the starter.
Right. So, you have to like the Yankees' chances, although you do wonder what's going on in Minnesota. Minnesota's just
Power.
I know, they're just killing people.
They beat Tampa Bay 3-0 in this past series.
Yeah, so Minnesota's been really strong, and as the Red Sox played Houston a weekend ago, you saw what kind of lineup Houston has. So if they get their pitching together, and they've got some good guys with Garrett Cole and Verlander, Houston's not going to be an easy out either. So it's not looking great for the Red Sox.
It may be 3 teams from the East. The Red Sox still have a shot at the wild card. I mean, the Yanks are only 8.5 games ahead, and there's so much time left. The Yanks, they have to go into a slump sometime. And the Red Sox start winning, you never know.
Well, that's probably what the Yankee fans said last year. The Red Sox can't keep doing this the whole season, and they did. And sometimes, if we look back to Detroit, was it 84, when they went out 35-5 and just walked all over people.
But what did I tell you last year, the difference between the Red Sox and Yankees? The Yankees strike out too much. Mm-hmm. They have 2 guys in the middle of the order that strike out a lot. Judge alone would be perfect there.
Well, Stanton's been out.
Stanton, I'd like to see them trade him. I don't know if they could. But you can't have 2 guys back-to-back that strike out a lot. It makes it you either hit a home run, although Judge has a better average than Stanton does.
Well, let's switch gears and talk about the Patriots. There was a Tom Brady sighting today in Foxborough. I don't know if he went down to have a rub down from his personal trainer or what. Mandatory 3-day mini camp is tomorrow.
Was he on the field?
No idea. So.
Where'd you hear this?
I heard it on the news somewhere.
And they didn't even explain why he was there?
He probably needed a timeout.
That's big news for him. We got to get the right story.
He probably needed a break from the little kids. So anyway, he doesn't have a contract extension signed yet. So obviously
he's not worried. Him and Kraft, they'll sit down one day. It's him and Kraft.
No, he's going to get paid. I'm not worried about that. But it's all about how the manipulation of the salary cap goes. The Patriots look pretty strong. Forget about Gronk. Gronk is saying, no, I'm not coming back 1,000 times no. And you can't blame the guy for the number of back surgeries he's had, multiple arm surgeries, broken leg, concussions. He's got $50 million in the bank. Life is good for him.
All right, I make the odds, right? My odds on the Patriots wins this year, 12.5. Would you go over or under?
Under.
You go under?
I go under just because at some point Brady's going to get hurt or his arm's going to get sore or something's going to happen. But
I definitely go over. They're going to be better than they were last year. What they're going to be is they're going to be as good as they were at the end of last year this year for the whole year.
Is there any news on the Tyreek Hill front for Kansas City?
No,
I haven't heard anything.
He may not be there. What I'm hearing.
Well, you'd think that with his domestic violence and child abuse situations that it's tough sledding for him.
If they remain fairly healthy and the Patriots remain fairly healthy, the Patriots are deeper than them and better.
Well,
you look at them run. The Patriots have the best defensive backfield in football
I was
right
going
now.
to say the defensive backfield is really terrific.
They have the best offensive line in football. Well, let's put one of the top three. One of the top three defensive backfields in football, one of the top three offensive lines in football, and if they're healthy, one of the top three linebacker cores in football right now. With Collins, if Hightower stays healthy, Bentley's coming back, Van Noy, those four players can match any linebacking core in football.
Well, we do know that Michael Bennett should be able to compensate for the loss of Flowers.
And Wise this year. Wise is going to have a big year. He had a great
Wise.
playoffs. And then the defensive end from Michigan.
Right.
And then they have like 6 other guys that have, worked in last year. Guy had a great playoff. So I think their defense is going to be one of the top 3 in football. I think their offense is going to be one of the top 3 in football. They got this new kicker who may end up staying on the team because he can kick the ball through the end zone every time. In Stanford, they returned 2 of his kickoffs all year. So you got a guy like him who's going to kick off and maybe even punt.
Well, we saw at the beginning of the year the short kickoff was a disaster for the Patriots because the defense can't get a running start anymore.
Yeah, and then another thing too is look at their running backs. Their running backs have to be one of the top 3.
Yeah, you have to
when you look at the whole core of them.
I mean, you can legitimately ask, is Damian Harris, is he good enough to even start maybe? So
He'll play a lot though.
I mean,
he's a tough runner.
Because Michelle is kind of shaky between
But
the
they got
tackles.
Harris and him. You got White.
Burkhead's going to have to battle to make the team.
But Burkett's a perfect back though. He gets injured, so you can catch the ball out of the backfield. White can catch the ball out of the backfield. They're a power.
They are.
And their ends could be better than people think.
Everybody seems to really like this N'Keal Harry guy who he's like Gronk. He's got a huge catch radius. And apparently he's gone up to Tom Brady's house for milk and cookies and catch a few passes.
And hopefully Thomas gives him something. You have Edelman.
Right. Well, Thomas is coming off the Achilles injury.
But
so,
they say he's been running fairly well, so
Okay.
that's early on.
And Edelman finally got paid.
Thank God. I'm glad he did.
I mean, he's got a lot of incentives in his contract.
But did he get an $8 million bonus or a 10? Is it 8?
I think it was eight and change.
That's good. That he deserves it.
I think that he's got a minimum of $12 million over the next 2 years. So it's a minimum deal. So good for him. I mean, he's taken a lot of hits.
You got to say he's one of the top 5 toughest players I've ever seen in football. He is tough.
There was a kind of interesting piece on Harry in Boston Sports Journal, and it showed he's thrown a couple of touchdown passes in college on one out of the Wildcat formation, which they had some other name for it in Arizona, and he threw another one on a double reverse pass. So he's a great athlete. I mean, I guess he was a terrific basketball player as a kid growing up too.
I mean, I'm really positive. To me, they have the best quarterback in football in Brady.
If you had to say there's one area or would one player make you, I mean, obviously, I'm not talking injury because anybody can get hurt, but is there one guy you just say, I feel a little lack of confidence in him?
On that team?
Yeah.
Collins?
Well, I was going to say Gostkowski.
Oh, yeah.
So
I think everybody has that.
just, I don't,
And he's making almost $5 million a year.
I think his track record in the postseason in the past, I mean, he made the big field goal to clinch the game against the Rams. It was 3 inches inside the goal post.
Yeah, no, but Ron, think of this. He was making more money than Edelman last year. Is that a disgrace or what? Edelman was making 3 point something last year. He made 4 point something.
Well, obviously every year as Brady's clock ticks down, Tooney's on a contract year now, and I think Van Noy is also on a contract year. So
They have Tooney playing a little left tackle.
right,
So Wynn hasn't come back fully yet, so they've been playing him.
right. Well, obviously if he can play left tackle, that'll only increase his value, and I don't know if they're willing to pay him, even though he's been very durable and he's been on the field and relatively few penalties. So we'll see. The difference between the Patriots and the rest of the NFL, aside from Belichick and Brady, but it's part of that picture, is they have such tremendous continuity as far as the front office, and we'll see how that goes with changes in the coaching department. Some people are saying that Mayo has assumed a big role in practice.
You think he'll be calling the plays?
Well, they say he has been calling some in practice. Now, I think during the regular season, Belichick is probably going to start out that way.
Boy, would I love to see them sign Bruschi as a coach, too. You have Mayo and Bruschi there? I mean, that'd be unbelievable.
I guess
two smart players.
In the off-season workouts, Kevin Falk and Troy Brown are around a lot working with guys.
Yeah, I know Brown was around.
So, it's great when you have former players who won championships and totally understand the system, who are there to help tutor the younger players.
They probably give them both $100,000 to come down and work with them.
I'm sure it's more than lunch money.
Yeah.
But overall, we haven't heard anything that. Now, of course, the question longer term will be: does McDaniels get itchy feet?
I don't think he will. I mean, he has to have an agreement with them.
Yeah.
I mean, he stuck around. He could have had a job 2 years ago. He could have had a job this year, and he said no. I think he wants to be there with Brady the next 2 years and then see what happens.
Yeah, aside from Kansas City, any other threats that you would see in the AFC?
No. Tennessee has come,
Yeah, with Vrabel.
Vrabel's done a real good job with them, but they're not ready yet.
And you got
no.
Oakland doing Oakland things. They signed Richie Incognito, which the guy will never go away.
But here's the number one reason why I feel really good about the Pats. Their defense and their defensive back. Usually every year the defense is okay and the offense, is great. But now the defense looks like they're really coming together. I mean, they did in the playoffs last year, except for the second half against Kansas City. They played tremendous. And you look at the cornerbacks they have now. They have big, smart cornerbacks.
Yeah, Jackson's over, I think, 6'1". Gilmore's tall. This Juwan Williams is big.
Williams is going to be big against the...
They'll probably move one of them back to safety. I don't know which one that'll be.
I think... is it Croston? Croston. I think he's going to become a great safety, strong safety. He hits. They haven't played cornerback now, but he hits harder than anybody on that team. Any defensive back. And I think they're going to work him in, and he's going to become a safety.
Well, he's a great special teams player, and we know how Belichick values them.
But they have it all run.
Well,
I'll go 13.5. I'll go over 13.5. I'm saying they win 14 anyway.
At least we don't talk about them being undefeated. We'll be right back. Welcome back. For our sports conversation tonight, we have Bill Allen, local hockey expert, and nothing better than talking hockey during the Stanley Cup Finals, especially when your team is in it. Welcome, Bill.
Thanks, guys.
Welcome.
Thanks for having me. Boy, it's been quite a ride, huh? Great spring. People can barbecue out, put the game on. It's festive, and it's been a great run so far. We bring you this one where we're halfway through the Cup Finals. Hopefully, things go well for the Bruins going forward.
What do you see coming up tonight?
Well, we're bringing this to you just before Game 4. Right. So more of what they did in Game 3. The quick start, as Cassidy would say, start on time. And they play much simpler, it seems, on the road, don't they, guys?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The things you're rooting for, not as fancy, not the extra pass. They go right at it. And the goalie's fragile for St. Louis. So if you've been following the sports pages, probably most of the folks out there, he's never been pulled. Binnington was pulled. Young man. They want to see how he responds. So maybe the Bruins get that early pressure. Things could be well. They're a good road team. So should be close.
I thought it was kind of disappointing that Rubio was whining about the officiating, especially when I think the obvious frustration penalties have set in for St. Louis, and the Bruins have been remarkably efficient on the power play.
Yeah, I agree, and everybody remembers Berube. He was a tough customer, wasn't he, in his time? So he was no stranger to the physical play. You think of those first game, the clutching, grabbing, and both teams going after the physical leading up to it. The other game, looks like he took one too. He took the risk on the penalty replay call. That backfired on him. The Bruins goal counted, and with that challenge comes a penalty if you don't succeed on the replay. And Bruins, that was the goal I think Pasternak got that second period. So.
To me, though, you look at that. The Bruins had more penalties than them last game, didn't they? Didn't they have 5?
Maybe not as many, but they snuffed them out pretty well. I don't remember too many, second chances that St. Louis had.
They had that 4-on-3 advantage.
I think they were much more dangerous in the second game back here in Boston. So.
But this series, you look at the series, right after the first game, I'm thinking Bruins in 5 or 6, the way they've been playing. After the second game, I'm saying it's going to be St. Louis in 5 or 6. After the third game, it's either going to be the Bruins in 5 or 7.
There's resilience. So that a lot of people just saying, "Hey, stick to what you thought. It was going to go 6 or 7 to begin with." We all, we're coming off the game where 7-2, great, wasn't close. What concerned me on the second game loss was not all right. So they win in overtime, exhilarating victory and all, but. How they boxed the Bruins in there. It wasn't like...
what do you think about that? That really got me down.
Yeah, the physical play, the Bruins couldn't... They got gassed. Long change, of course. They couldn't get to that bench, and they didn't even get it out of the zone for the... They was scored a couple minutes in.
But that was happening the whole game.
Well,
they just couldn't get it going.
In that period, the Blues do what they do best. So even as we bring this to you early, we'll see tonight if the Blues respond, because that's been the way they've done it. They went down 2-1 against San Jose. Remember that goal with the throw pass with the glove? Figure, hey, that will deflate them, and they are resilient. The Blues, if you follow the hockey, like I guess the crowd does, last place on January 3rd is a great story for them, and just the resiliency. The goaltender, we just mentioned a moment ago, might be fragile, but you know what? He's put up almost like a shutout in each of the series before.
Well,
so he responds.
Against San Jose, the last 3 games, he only gave up 2 goals.
That's what I mean. So as soon as we say, geez, Bruins look really, really good here, just keep the flow going. They expect the Blues to try to push that will. They've done it.
They're big and physical, and if you're successful, why would you go away from what's worked for you? You had really one bad loss. That's what happens in sports.
It's that's been their recipe. So where they've been down in the series, they maybe catch the opponent saying, "Hey, this was pretty good." I'm hoping the Bruins with the 2013 experience versus the Hawks, right? They were up 2-1, maybe took their foot off the gas, and before you know it, in that playoff, Kane and Seabrook, all those Chicago, the skill overtook the physicality of the Bruins, who were the heavy team. This year I look at almost like the Bruins have kind of the skill. And they can play the heavy too, but Blues, just the physicality of the team. That's like, hey, we're going to play heavy, low-scoring games. Game 2, Ralph, to your point, was exactly that. But got away from them, and the skill took hold on Game 3.
What do you think about the first line, though? You think that the physical play of St. Louis is, to me, it's really bothered them. The second game was a disaster. Even the last game, I mean, Marchand had an assist. Pasternak had a goal. Bergeron had a goal, but
a lot better, and some of that's because of the power play. So if you say, hey, let's talk about points, much better. What I liked about Game 3 versus 2 was the face-offs. Like Bergeron, we're used to him controlling the. He had won 6 out of 18 or something in that second game. I think he turned the tide. He played well, the smart tip-in. A lot of people think he may have some injury going on. Players and managers never talk about it in the Stanley Cup Finals. We'll find out in a week, if he was playing with her. Pasternak, much better game, heady game. The nice goal, the top corner in the position. He was leading some checks. We all love Marshy, right? A quick assist. I still think the best is yet to come from him, because we saw him in the Vancouver. Picking top corners, a glove in the face, just rattling. The first few games, a little quiet, and I think in that loss, NBC kind of took him to task there with all those replays of him, dropping the puck to nobody. Some of the mistakes he made. I think we'll see a big recovery from Marchand if the Bruins are going to try to capture that cup.
Well, earlier in the season, it seemed that the Bruins were having a lot of problems in their own end with turnovers, and they've been a lot more disciplined about avoiding that and clearing the puck out. maybe not trying to get the perfect play, just get it out of the zone.
Good point, Ron. What I attribute to that is a combination of skill and quickness, because what they don't have that St. Louis does is those big, tall, remember, like the old Canadians of years ago, the big Larry Robinson and the tall. They have been running with this group, and tribute to Cassidy, Sweeney, and those guys at management, giving these young kids, Grizzlick and others, a chance to, 2 or 3 years in. They get to those pucks quick, and boy, pinpoint passes, 8-footers, and like right to the guy in front. Then he skates it out versus that panic up the boards. I just think they are a little quicker, and they're smaller, but boy, they can turn that puck out, led by McAvoy, of course.
Would you see any adjustments between the second and third game? I'm waiting for St. Louis to really pinch the corners again, put the pressure on them where they can't get the puck out. And I was looking at that, and I didn't see much of that in the last game.
Big surprising. So maybe they attribute that to, hey, it's been 50 years since they've had the cup, the hoopla, the city, the excitement, and because they certainly didn't, with the exception of first 5 minutes, where they got the penalty power play right away, 4 or 5 quick shots. Rask was there. Then you're right, Bruins kind of wrestled it away. I'm sure Berube's telling these guys, let's go back to game 2. Flip those pucks down and get it behind the red line and thump the kids. You got to get there quick, because they're too quick, and unfortunately, Grizzlick, I haven't heard the news at all. Whether
I heard he was out, but for the series. But
oh, is that right? Yeah.
I just heard that once yesterday.
Yeah. St. Louis took some goalie interference penalties. Do you think that was part of their strategy as far as insinuating themselves into the blue page?
I think it's not a coincidence, Ron.
They're trying to hurt him.
He's right. There's been like 2 or 3 of them. Not just the go to the net, but the sliding in with the skates up. And thank goodness he hasn't had the injury.
How often did you see that during the season? Did he ever get knocked?
Not
hit like that?
Not deep into the crease. He's doing it like
Twice.
they're doing now. But you know what? I think the officials have called it.
Right.
Because we've seen it worse where that goes on, and we're saying, oh, hey, the Bruins do it too. But it looks pretty extreme the way St. Louis trying to, I guess, fight for their position in front.
What do you think about the use of instant replay on offsides? It seems like there's a lot of controversy about that.
If it's personal, I don't like it at all. You know what I mean? If it's they go back sometimes a minute or so.
Well, they did that against the Bruins towards the end at the end of the year. They called one back.
Elated the other night because the defenseman brought it in himself. But that looked like here's another one where it's just you live or die on every goal when you're in these playoffs, and it's that happened 93 seconds ago, and they were changing lines. I'm not a fan of it. I think they should just put some kind of to challenge it if it's pertinent to the play, a 2-on-1 or a quick break. You know what I mean?
That's what I was saying. If it's 2 passes.
Yeah. Sometimes I think it's a little too petty, but and if they speed it up, that's not in the Bruins series, but you guys probably saw in some of the other ones that if they have a hotline in Toronto, maybe they call down soon instead of hey, the ref has to tell us to call, or if it hits the net behind. Remember the goal the Bruins got hit the netting. So well, we can't. Everybody knows that shouldn't have been a goal, but because it's not in the rules that the netting apply, it just clean some of that up.
I think you have to give management a lot of credit. We're the first to jump on them when they don't come through. The players that they acquired, Johansson and Coyle, have really been terrific, and the third and fourth lines have really carried sometimes the first and second.
You make a good point, Ron. That's what I like about that too. Not only that they came in and are working so well together, but Johansson looks like a speedster. You see, he looks like
unreal.
Like when he gets going, he sees it. And for a while there at the end, he was hurt a little bit. And I like the fact that Heinen, because it seems like he's been their injuries during the year bounced around. Hey, when's he going to bloom? They love this guy so much, and he's an intelligent player. He can skate, but he's doing a lot like that. The board, the poke backs, and he's letting those guys roll. And he's setting guys like Coyle up. You know what I mean? So he's doing that board work, and I think he's found comfort there. He's a good, what I've noticed with him, and that jokey. I'm going to mess up his last name.
Nordstrom?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yes. That type of position where they're intelligently the layer guys, and they lead the forecheck and stuff. It's real effective when you got the other part of the line expelling the offense. That
where is Krejci in the contract spectrum? Because to me, it seems like he's been underachieving a little bit in the postseason.
Yeah, good point. Because if he got hurt, we'd all be saying, "Oh, we have to have Krejci. He shines at the playoffs." His ability to slow things down, like during the at different times of the game, he's almost like a calming influence. He's a surprisingly good skater. He doesn't appear like on TV like fast, like he's going around, but he's an intelligent player, and he can slow the puck down a little bit. And he sees much wider. You know what I'm saying? Like during the, he won't panic with it. He'll draw back, push it back to the D, and then they'll come back again. I just like at his point in the career, he's mid-30s, but I think he's got enough games and intelligence that he knows what to do with the puck at the right time.
Yeah, they like his head. And when they won the Stanley Cup, Lucic and Horton on the wings weren't too bad playing with him.
Well, he was setting everybody up. It was like, who can we get to play with Krejci? He was the playmaker guy. And now it's like, you like to see he's giving some of these kids that we're talking about here their start. And I think his poise and having that type of, don't know what he does in the room and that sort of thing, I think it shows.
Well, I like to see them playing with more speed and more skill. This kind of big, bad Bruins fighting it.
You like to see him hit too, though.
I want to see him
match
score goals.
St. Louis.
You know, and young players want to get paid. You get paid by scoring goals, not by delivering checks.
No, last few years it's been heading that way. You had mentioned management a little while ago. They've done a pretty good job. They've taken a hit a little bit for the 2015 draft. Remember, they had all those early rounders and stuff.
Right.
Who are some of them? I know they were doing.
Well, I think DeBrusque broke through.
DeBrusque.
I mean, there's a few others still in Providence. Jury out on them. I think Shenzhen.
Oh, DeBrusque is real good.
Yeah, but a lot of them said, because other teams have maybe players that they passed on. Look at.
Well, that happens in every sport.
Yeah, geez, we could have got him.
I mean, look at the team now. They got a lot of good youngsters on that team.
I speak of the depth. It's really a good mix. So at the end of the day, if you're saying, all right, when you guys were mentioning the first line, if they line up against Shen and Tarasenko, especially on the road team gets the home team gets to match the line. So they neutralize what the Bruins have with those other three lines. I think are more than what, for the Cup Finals anyway, what St. Louis is putting out there. You know.
And their defense too. I think their defense matches even St. Louis's defense. They're quicker than them. They handle the puck better.
So let me ask you the question. A lot of the big debate going in. Oh no, the 11 days off. You know, was it good so far? I mean, so they're regaining their form. They're pulling the trigger. They're scoring some goals to your liking. Is that helping now when those big defensemen are feeling their oats a little bit? You know. Well, again, we'll see if they come back tonight and push it on them. But
as Ralph said earlier, it's about recency bias. Last game, the Bruins won in a blowout, so we're feeling good.
Yep.
And if it doesn't go their way,
I was so down.
It's best of three. You're right.
Yeah.
I was shocked in that second game. I was shocked. I went into work. I said, I can't believe it. I mean, the way St. Louis dominated that game, and then the Bruins come back. I mean, they had some luck in that game, I think, in this last game, the Bruins. But they did play way better than they did the second game.
Yeah, I think I'm hoping that that's why I threw out the rest thing, that they've got their energy flow now, and now they're starting to connect with the passes. The power play has been unbelievable. Guys, I don't know if you captured a stat, but it's been really, you can't give the whole team the power play for the Conn Smythe Trophy, but it's really, that's a huge thing.
Well, throughout the playoffs, but they weren't
that
good the first two games. They were 1 for 6, both 1 for 6. And St. Louis was defending the power play well. You couldn't stick handle over the blue line.
At home. That's why we were mentioning the for some reason the comfort or the straight, they called it the north-south game when they just crisp dump-ins. They were doing a good job getting the puck deep, setting it up, and getting the quick shots right to the net. That face-off win by Bergeron, then he tips it in. You know what I mean? No extra passing or unnecessary. I like it. You mentioned Krug.
He's been unreal.
Quarterbacking,
I think he's the MVP other than Rask.
He's. Let's look at his story. I remember him. Remember coming up against the Rangers in 2013, maybe second round. Hey, who's this Krug guy coming in? And he just had a good playoff. He hurt a couple of times, but between him, Carlo, the health has been good. Knock on whatever we got here. In coming to age.
Remember that talk halfway through the year? Are they thinking about trading him? Wow.
Another interesting story is the number of local and U.S. players that are on the Bruins. I think they said over half the players on the Bruins are Americans, which is, I don't know how many other teams have similar roster construction.
We like the Grizzly, Charlestown, and was it Weymouth for Coyle, and just some of the pedigree. Sweeney
Wagner's,
going to school here. Yeah, just
Well, Don Sweeney, and I'm a big fan of Neely. I'm happy for him. I know how nervous he gets. He's going to have a breakdown some of these games. He's unbelievable. And Sweeney, he brought in Sweeney, which is a great move.
Yep, it's boding pretty well for them at this point, you know.
Well, you're a Somerville High School expert. I mean, Melrose High School expert. How's the hockey team going to be next year?
I think they'll still do okay. They have Brendan, Bennell, and they'll lose Crovo and a few others. But I think the goals, they had almost 70. I think they had 76 goals for when you're talking about the goal scoring, you know, which compared to other years, Vin really has that fired up. So I thought they really brought it. Their record was 12-4-5.
Yeah, they had a tough loss to Burlington.
Yeah, so over at the.
I didn't bring them up that game.
What
a game it was.
Yeah, couple more games, and to be able to make the Garden, that would have been special for all of us, huh?
Yeah.
We all would have been able to sit up on the ninth floor and watch the game, but
they skate though. I'll tell you that they can skate.
The Melrose Hockey program it's proven itself. I mean, you've got Vin, 5 years in now. He's approaching 70 wins as a coach. I work with Chuck Trider. Chuck, longtime Melrose. He coached Melrose High for a number of years, and he has been instrumental the last 4 or 5 years with the middle school kids, getting them from the youth hockey, that bridge, into preparation for high school play. So I've learned a lot from Chuck, and then of course Frank Sorrenti, who you guys work with regularly at the youth level, both guys and girls. You know, and he's doing well as the Melrose varsity coach for the ladies. So yeah, the leadership's in pretty good shape.
So you think they'll have a pretty good year next year?
Yeah, I think so. I think the bridge is built, and the numbers are there, and it's fun, as you guys know, being around it, because we did a lot of youth. We see them as younger kids, the families and stuff, and they buy in, and their kids do the work, and it's good to see them rewarded.
Yeah.
It's like they're competitive.
Well, thanks to Bill Allen for joining us, and we'll be right back.
Thank you.
The NBA playoffs are in full swing. Golden State's in the finals for the 57th year in a row. Yeah. And despite the fact that they have substantial injuries, missing Kevin Durant, they were able to come back, score 17 points in a row in the third quarter, and win in Toronto. So we, the North, is now 1-1 going out to Golden State.
All right, number one, my friends in work says, how can you root for Golden State over Toronto? Golden State has won, what, they've been in 5 in a row now?
Yeah, 5 in a row.
5 in a row. I said, how can I root for Golden State? It's Golden State, it's Toronto. One's an American team and one's a Canadian team. Okay, that's how I can root for Golden State.
I love the enthusiasm in Toronto. I thought Pascal Siakam was miraculous, 14 of 17 in Game 1. Terrific developmental story from Cameroon, which I'll be lucky to find with a map. And however, Golden State, they have a great system. They have great shooters. They play hard. They move the basketball. They really know how to screen and get open.
And they have the best player in basketball.
Well, they have a lot of outstanding players.
Leonard is not the best player in this series.
Yeah, well, I mean,
Curry's the best player.
Curry's a phenomenal player. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame player, one of the greatest shooters in the history of the NBA.
One of the smartest players in the NBA.
And has been one of the hardest workers in basketball since he was in high school. So it's not like there's any mystery. They have Klay Thompson, who's a terrific player. They have Draymond Green, who at times took the game over, whether it's going to the basket, rebounding. He's a terrific passer. He's a terrific defender.
He's quicker now.
And, right. He's he's another Hall of Fame player. So even without Durant, and DeMarcus Cousins was able to get on the floor for a double-double coming off injury. So they have a smart coach. They have a lot of experience together, and their bench deserves a lot more credit than they get.
Who's that kid that hit those 3 threes?
Cook.
Cook.
So Cook hit, I'm not a big Bogut fan, but he did get 6 points somehow.
On those alley-oops.
Right. And Iguodala nerves the steal. When hit down to crunch time at the end, he hits a 3 to ice the game. So, and they have Shaun Livingston, who's 77 years old, playing his 15th year in the NBA.
You know what the key is right now to the series? If Thompson is out,
oh, right.
Toronto wins if Durant's not back. If
Yeah.
Thompson's healthy, Golden State wins. The series turned in the third quarter of the game. That it turned. I mean, I'm watching the game and I said that. I said, here's where this series turned.
Golden
State is now going to control the series, and then Thompson goes down. Then they went with the box and 1 against Curry. And if Thompson's out, they can't beat them. I don't care. And Curry, to me, is my favorite player. I mean, I love the one player, if I know they're on TV, I'll watch him. No other player. There's no other player that excites me in the NBA than Curry. You know, Leonard, I wouldn't watch a game because Leonard's playing. I wouldn't watch a game because Durant's playing, or LeBron anymore, or even any of those players. I'd watch a game if I knew Curry was playing.
How about Antetokounmpo?
No, Curry by far, to me, is the most entertaining player, and I really love it because I was played point guard.
Well, there was a discussion on the Facebook coaches private group, and somebody said, well, Curry doesn't deserve any credit or full credit because he's never been the MVP of the championship team. You know, that's the stupidest,
what did he do last year?
Thing ever.
What did he do last year when he should have been the MVP, when he scored 35 and 38 points?
Well, that's why it's just stupid. He's been a terrific player. He's a good guy.
Well, here's the best way to look at it. Durant never won a championship until he came over to Golden State. Curry won 2 championships. 2 championships when he wasn't there.
No, just one.
One?
One, yeah, because he's won 2 with
He's
Durant
won 3.
there.
He's won 3 altogether.
But,
Yeah.
you know, it's really hard to be negative about Curry. I mean,
He was MVP twice, wasn't he, in the league?
that I don't
Yeah,
know.
he was MVP twice.
I mean, he's a phenomenal player. They got a great coach in Steve Kerr, who he keeps the roster kind of balanced. I mean, he's got 4 superstars, and when Cousins was healthy, really 5. And Cousins, you know, he wasn't a disruptive force. People said, oh, he'll screw up the team. Nope, hasn't happened at all. And you know, conversely, we look at the issues the Celtics are going to have. First of all, everybody's talking like Irving
Kyrie's
is gone. So then you have to replace the point guard, and I don't want to replace the point guard with Rozier. I don't see that as a viable option.
Well, we've been talking about that. If they can get a point guard that's adequate, can distribute the ball, not think scoring first like Rozier.
How would you feel about Ricky Rubio?
I'd love to see Rubio come.
That's what I thought.
I'd love to see Rubio. He's the perfect point guard for that team.
Right. He's not a shoot first point guard.
If they get Rubio, they'll battle Toronto and Milwaukee next year for the best record. Yeah, they definitely will, because that lineup would be so much different with Kyrie gone. You know, I don't know much about it. Can they do a sign and trade with Kyrie for another max?
They can, but they would have to probably, well, you wouldn't be able to get a max player for him. You'd probably have to do Kyrie and throw in some kind of sweetener contract. I'm not sure who that would be. The lower paid guys, Robert Williams is probably, you know, I don't think there's anybody out there besides Williams that people would really want.
But why would you have to do that? What if the money matched?
Well, I think it's because the other team, why should they give up something when they can just sign him?
Yeah, but if there's another team that they have a free agent, all right? If he's going to leave and they know he's pretty much going to leave, or they don't want him, can't the Celtics give him the max,
right?
And the other team give the max to their guy, and then both players. That player goes to the Celtics. They got him for 5 years. Kyrie goes to that team, and they got him for 4 or 5 years.
I don't even know who. I don't know who that player would be.
Say Leonard. Just say Leonard.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to give. He's been with them, so he can get the max from Toronto. He can tell Toronto, I'm leaving. I'm going to.
Well, I think Leonard's going to end up with the Clippers.
With the Clippers anyway.
Right. So.
But I'm not. I'm just saying someone like him.
Right.
Now, say Thompson from Golden State. Although they
Okay.
wouldn't make that deal because they have Curry. So you wouldn't make that deal. But maybe that will work out there.
It's easier to understand nuclear physics than the
No,
NBA
but
rules.
if he can't do that, let him go, Kyrie. He's ruining the team. He's a
Well-
head case.
Well, there's no question that whatever his skill is, which is extreme, that the chemistry of the team was really terrible this year.
He's got top 10 talent, but he's a top 30 player in the league. And here's my reasoning. You go over 10-game span with him. 2 games sensational. Unbelievable. Going to the hoop, hitting 3-pointers. 2 out of 10 games. 3 out of those 10 games, he's good. That's 5 games. 3 games, he's
Well, he misses 1 for injury.
No, 3 games he's okay, and 2 games he's lousy. Just look at his 10 games when he's with the Celtics. Some 6 for 22, 4 or 5 turnovers, not playing defense.
Well, I can live with it if he stays, but I don't think he's going to stay because
He's got to go.
He's got more. I think he can make the money back with making Uncle Drew 12 and Uncle Drew 13 and everything else.
But again, you look at him though, Ron. People look at maybe out of the 10 games, 2 or 3 games where he's sensational, and they say, "Wow, that's Kyrie." That carries him for the 10-game span because the other 7 games, he's very good a couple of games, fair a couple of games, and lousy a couple of games. Now compare him to LeBron. 10-game span. LeBron's sensational 8 of those games. 2 of those games he's very good.
Well, there's a possibility that Baines would leave, and there's a possibility that Horford would leave. So then you have.
Horford's not going anywhere.
Well, it's going to be hard for him to get the money from somebody else.
He'll play out his option. The Celtics will re-sign him maybe for 3 or 4 years at a little less money. That's what he'll probably do.
You think he's going to stay?
Yeah, he'll definitely stay.
Well, I think he wants to be able to compete for a championship. And now, the one player that they can't trade is who?
Hayward.
Hayward, right? Because he's got a huge salary and nobody really.
But he's going to be great next year. I'll tell you that.
Well, hopefully he'll be a lot better, and I hope that Tatum will be a lot better too. I hope he doesn't spend his whole summer with Kobe Bryant telling him how great he is.
I know. But they have the right point guard. The Celtics get the right point guard, like Rubio. I'll tell you, Tatum, Hayward, Horford, Brown, they're going to all be so much better with someone like Rubio than Kyrie. Kyrie's a head case. He's got to go.
Well, I think we don't have to worry about it. He's just going to go. So.
And the Celtics are going to be better than people think.
So I have I don't really study the college draft players for where the Celtics are at 14. I suppose you could probably get a point guard at
To
14.
me, with they're at 14, it doesn't matter if they're 6 to 14, 6 to 20, because the top 5 players, that's what you have. From there, anybody can get lucky. You can have the 6th pick and not get anybody any good. You can have the 20th pick and get someone good.
Yeah, probably the tail of the tape there is Malcolm Brogdon, who's a really good player, who had an excellent career at Virginia, and then because he was a senior and more than anything else, because he was a senior and stayed for 4 years, his stock dropped. And he's been a very serviceable NBA player. So we'll see. There's like 70 guys that came out early, so there's going to be some of them that are disappointed.
Hopefully they can get that guy. If they can get Rubio, is he a free agent?
Yeah.
If they can sign, how old is he?
I think he's 28.
Geez, I would definitely go for him. He's my point guard. He's my, that's why I like Ball.
I know you like Ball a lot.
I like Ball. I love point guards that, number one, they want to distribute the ball. And guys that are running the wing, they're gonna work hard to get open. They know they're playing with a guy. They're gonna give 100%. Not, hey, Kyrie's got the ball. What is he gonna do with the ball? He's gonna dribble. Might pass once in a while. He's probably gonna shoot. They're not gonna work hard. You got Rubio. He's gonna distribute the ball. Everybody's gonna run. It's gonna be an up-tempo team. It's gonna be great basketball.
Well, and a player like Rubio doesn't feel the need or the desire to be the leading scorer every night. He's really more a distributor, as you say.
But imagine Rozier going and they bring in Rubio. That's unbelievable if that happens. If it doesn't happen, they may end up keeping Rozier, and they're going to have to give him a talking to, telling him if you're playing point, you be a point guard, not a two guard.
Well, how well do you think that's going to go over?
He's a head case too. He's knocking everybody else. He's upset about the minutes. He was averaging 22 minutes a game, and he stunk. If he played better, he would have been averaging more minutes.
Right. He was not effective from three, and he's got a low shooting percentage around the basket.
And he's blaming everybody else but himself.
Right. So, I mean, he's a hard worker. There's no question about that. It wasn't lack of effort, but you can't sulk. You know, that's not going to advance your career in the NBA. I was watching a podcast by a guy named Deal, I believe. He really had some interesting data. First of all, the mid-range shots have decreased dramatically in the NBA. Everybody knows that, but you can probably guess the two teams that take the fewest mid-range shots. Number one is Houston, which only takes threes and layups, free throws, and number two is the Bucks. The Bucks totally revamped their system, and so when you see a guy driving now, they're usually driving to pass. So everybody collapses on the guy driving and they kick it out to three, and you have guys like Pat Connaughton and Middleton burying you.
But you know what gets me? Like, it's a lot of games where, well, when Celtics are up like 11 points with like 2.5 minutes to go, I'm saying let them take as many twos as they want. Don't let them take any wide open threes. Where do you see them? Come down, transition, hit a wide open three.
And then he said what's different about post-ups now is the post-ups with big guys aren't an advantage. You get the advantage when you have, like Villanova, he was talking about college, when you have Jalen Brunson get into the lane because he can score at the rim or dish out, and that's the advantage if you can invert your offense and get guards low and perimeter shooters outside, which I thought was really interesting.
But no one looks at either, because some of these people in the NBA aren't that bright. You know, I'm talking about the executives and all that, and coaches. People think they're good, but they're not. It depends on the type of team they have, the players they have. But wouldn't you have your team shooting more twos and threes? Wouldn't you be thinking more, let's shoot open twos, take the ball to the hoop, finish strong, than taking a three?
Well, if you can get layups,
what's the percentage?
Well, that's why they're taking threes. Now this guy broke down every pick and roll.
And they're all wrong.
Well,
tell me why the three's better than the two.
Because even if you're shooting 35% from three, that's 1.05 points per possession.
Yeah.
And in the NBA, they're only shooting 37% mid-range. So 37% of twos is 0.74 points per possession. So you just won't get there. So that's why the top teams are all shooting threes now.
So I mean, that's one way to look at it. But your higher percentage is when you're shooting twos.
Well, no, it isn't
threes.
anymore.
Yeah.
No, the mid-range shots are not made at a higher
No,
percentage.
I'm talking about layups and mid-range.
Well, no, if you
tell
can get layups, absolutely.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Well, I'm talking about
other than threes, 2-point shots, which a layup's a 2-point
right.
shot.
And youth basketball, it goes out the window because you can't make threes.
No, but what's the percentage in the NBA on 2-point shots, including layups, because it's a 2-point shot, than a 3-point shot? What's the percentage there?
You have to break it down by distance from the basket. Because
I'm not talking about distance from the basket. I'm talking about twos and threes.
Well, it's lower on twos as far as points per possession.
No, I'm talking, forget points per possession, because I'm going to make my point.
Well,
what are the percentages on 3 points? What's the average 3-point in the NBA?
It's around 36%, so 35%.
In the NBA, 3-pointers?
Yeah, absolutely.
And what's the average on 2-pointers, including layups?
I don't know, it's probably 40.
How many times you get fouled on 2-pointers compared to
the
3-pointers?
NBA, it's
Driving to the basket, right?
Yep.
You're getting fouled. Now,
Yeah.
here's the stat no one talks about. You're missing more shots from the 3-point line. Teams have better chances to get into transition on missed shots. So more shots are being missed from the 3-point line. Transition's going to occur more on 3-point shots percentage-wise than two-point shots. So no one even talks about that, the fast breaks. You're not going to be able to fast break as much on two-point shots as you do on three-point shots, average-wise.
That makes sense. The other thing that's interesting is that if you put a guard at the foul line, you're likely to get 3 extra rebounds a game, just defensive rebounds or offensive rebounds, wherever you put them.
But get back to this, though, Ron. Then, what's the percentage on getting fouled on two-point shots, layups included, compared to three-point shots?
Certainly higher. I don't know.
So you're at the foul line more taking a two-point shot than you are a three-point shot.
Well, one of the problems for the Celtics, of course, is they don't get fouled because they don't go to the basket.
Teams can't get into their fast break percentage-wise on a two-point shot compared to a three-point shot. The ball's bouncing off the rim harder on a three-point shot on a miss. Get into transition a lot quicker because it's bouncing away from the basket. People don't look at all that. To me, the two-point, what are these people thinking about? The three-point shot, That's the NBA now. When the chances of scoring are better on a two-point shot, I understand what you're saying about points, but you're not as many fast breaks.
Well, I think the other thing is you're less likely to turn the ball over if you're taking three-pointers than if you're driving to the basket because there's so many people hacking at you going through. So you're not going to turn
And what about foul trouble?
Well, foul trouble is certainly a factor.
Two-point shots more than three-pointers. Teams going to get in foul trouble. You get them in foul trouble, they're sitting on the bench. I don't know where they're getting this thing about three. Just because when they're looking at the numbers and the ratio on three-point shots compared to two, you're not getting as many fouls. Fast breaks occur more on three-point shots than two-point shots because you're making more.
Well, I mean, if you could get 100 layups a game, everybody would like to do that, but you just can't because of.
Here's why I'm saying it, because they have Tatum taking these three-point shots when he should be taking the ball to the hoop. Brown taking games more than three-point shots than two-point shots, taking the ball to the hoop. They're ruining. The Celtics are the one team that's really getting hurt because they have more players that can take the ball to the hoop stronger. Even Hayward can take the ball to the hoop stronger.
No, I think that Brown and Hayward particularly can.
And
Tatum, I don't know what Tatum was thinking about. Tatum took a lot of long twos this
That's
year.
why Stevens is not a good coach. I told you that last year when they were winning. He's not a good coach. Just watching the way he coaches that team. This year he was absolutely terrible, and he's got to get it. I mean, Ainge has got to talk to him.
I think the younger players have to listen to the coaching. You got to take the coaching too. So my sense is that Rozier, Tatum, and Brown had their own idea of how they should play, and Kyrie had his own idea of how the game was going to be played. So there are too many guys trying to control how the game was played.
You know what the Celtics need to do? They've got to let Stevens go back to college and sign Kevin McHale.
Oh, gosh. Anyway, there you have it. I appreciate you being with me tonight. I'm Ron Sen.
And I'm Ralph LaBella, and thank you for watching Let's Talk Sports.